Burkina Faso has announced that its security forces have stopped what officials describe as a serious coup and assassination plot aimed at President Captain Ibrahim Traore. The government says the plan was carefully organized and intended to remove the country's young military leader at a time when Burkina Faso is facing deep security challenges and major political change. The announcement has sent shockwaves across West Africa and drawn strong attention from the international community as the country remains at the center of regional debates about sovereignty, foreign influence, and the fight against armed groups. According to official statements released by authorities in Ouagadougou, the alleged plot involved both military and civilian actors with links that extended beyond Burkina Faso's borders. The government said the plan was discovered through intelligence operations and quick action by loyal security units, which prevented violence and possible bloodshed. While details are still emerging, officials stressed that the goal of the plot was not only to overthrow the current leadership, but also to assassinate President Traore, an act that could have pushed the country into chaos. This development is important because Burkina Faso has already experienced years of instability, including multiple coups and growing insecurity caused by armed groups in the Sahel region. Captain Traore came to power promising to restore national dignity, strengthen the army, and reduce foreign control over the country's decisions. Since then, he has become a powerful symbol for many Africans who support stronger independence and African-led solutions. Any attempt on his life or leadership is therefore seen not just as an attack on one man, but as a challenge to the political direction the country has chosen. The foiled plot also raises serious questions about internal divisions within the military and political system. Burkina Faso's leaders say the country remains under threat from people who oppose recent reforms and the government's changing alliances. As investigations continue, citizens are being urged to remain calm, while security has been tightened in key locations across the capital and other major cities. For now, the government insists that the situation is under control, but the announcement has made clear that the struggle for power and stability in Burkina Faso is far from over. In the hours following the announcement, Burkina Faso's authorities moved quickly to explain how the alleged coup and assassination plot was uncovered and stopped. Government sources said intelligence services had been monitoring unusual movements and secret communications among a small group of individuals for several weeks. These signals raised concerns that a coordinated action was being planned against the country's leadership. Security officials stressed that early detection played a key role in preventing violence and protecting President Ibrahim Traore. The government revealed that several suspects had been arrested, including members of the armed forces and civilians accused of working together to destabilize the country. Officials said some of those involved were believed to be acting under the influence of foreign interests unhappy with Burkina Faso's recent political choices. While no specific countries were officially named at this stage, the statement has added fuel to ongoing debates about external interference in the Sahel, a region where global powers have long competed for influence. This incident highlights the deep tension inside Burkina Faso as the country tries to redefine its future. Since taking power, President Traore has pushed for stronger national control over security, natural resources, and political decisions. These changes have earned him strong support among young people and citizens frustrated by years of instability, but they have also created enemies among those who benefited from the old system. The authorities say the foiled plot shows how dangerous this resistance can become. At the same time, the government has called on the population to remain united and vigilant.
State media broadcast messages urging citizens to support the armed forces and avoid spreading rumors that could create fear or confusion. Religious and traditional leaders were also asked to calm communities and promote peace. As Burkina Faso continues its investigation, this second phase of the story reveals a country standing at a critical moment, trying to protect its leadership while defending a new political path that could reshape its future.
As more details emerge, attention has turned to the wider political and regional meaning of the foiled coup and assassination plot. Burkina Faso sits at the heart of the Sahel, a region struggling with armed violence, weak institutions, and growing public anger toward foreign involvement. President Ibrahim Traore's leadership has marked a sharp break from the past, especially in his decision to move away from traditional Western partners and strengthen cooperation with neighboring countries facing similar challenges. This shift has changed the balance of power in the region and increased political tension both inside and outside the country. Officials say the alleged plot must be understood within this larger context. Burkina Faso, along with Mali and Niger, has formed closer security and political ties in recent years, presenting a united front against armed groups and external pressure. Supporters of Traore argue that this alliance represents a new African-driven approach to solving African problems. Critics, however, warn that the rapid changes have unsettled old networks of power, making the government a target for those who fear losing influence. Inside Burkina Faso, public reaction has been mixed but intense. Many citizens took to social media and local radio stations to express support for the president, calling the foiled plot proof that powerful forces are working against national independence. Others, however, expressed concern about ongoing instability and questioned whether repeated security threats could slow development and economic recovery. For ordinary people, the fear is not only about politics, but also about daily life, safety, and the future of their families. International observers are also watching closely. Any successful coup or assassination in Burkina Faso would have risked spreading instability across West Africa, where several countries are already under strain. By stopping the plot, authorities say they have protected not only the government, but also regional stability. Part 3 of this unfolding story shows that what happened in Burkina Faso is not an isolated event, but part of a much larger struggle over power, independence, and the future direction of Africa's Sahel region. The government's response after the plot was stopped has been strong and highly visible. Security forces increased patrols in the capital, Ouagadougou, and in several regional cities to prevent any further attempts at unrest. Military checkpoints were reinforced, and key government buildings were placed under tighter protection. Officials said these steps were necessary to reassure the public and show that the state remains in full control of the situation. President Ibrahim Traore addressed the nation through state media, speaking in a calm but firm tone. He thanked the security forces for their loyalty and quick action, saying their work had saved the country from a dangerous moment. Traore repeated his message of national unity, urging citizens not to allow fear or division to weaken the country. He said Burkina Faso's future depends on discipline, courage, and trust between the people and the armed forces. The government also confirmed that investigations are continuing to identify everyone involved in the alleged plot. Special military and civilian investigators have been assigned to the case, with orders to follow the evidence wherever it leads. Authorities promised transparency, while also warning that sensitive details would not be shared publicly to protect national security. This balance between openness and caution reflects how serious the situation is. Legal experts in Burkina Faso say the suspects could face severe penalties if found guilty,
Crimes involving coups and assassination plots are treated as serious threats to the state, especially during a period of emergency security rule. Trials are expected to take place under military or special courts, which has already sparked debate about justice, fairness, and due process among human rights groups. Across the country, public gatherings and discussions have focused on the meaning of loyalty and patriotism. Many citizens see the foiled plot as proof that internal enemies still exist and that reform will not come easily. In markets, schools, and transport hubs, people are talking about the risks facing the nation and the need to protect peace at all costs. Traditional and religious leaders have also stepped forward, calling for calm and national reflection. In sermons and community meetings, they have urged people to avoid hate speech and rumors that could inflame tensions. Their role is seen as crucial in keeping communities united during uncertain times, especially in rural areas where information can spread quickly without verification. The business community has reacted cautiously, watching to see whether stability will hold. Investors and traders worry that political shocks could disrupt markets, supply chains, and cross-border trade. Government officials have reassured them that economic activity will continue normally and that protecting jobs and livelihoods remains a priority. This part of the story shows a country trying to steady itself after a close call. The strong security response, public messaging, and ongoing investigations all point to a leadership determined to survive and move forward. Yet, the many reactions across society also reveal how fragile the situation remains and how much depends on what happens next. As Burkina Faso moves beyond the immediate shock of the foiled plot, deeper questions are being asked about the forces working against the current leadership. Analysts say the attempt reflects long-standing power struggles within the country, especially between those who support rapid change and those who prefer the old political and security arrangements. President Ibrahim Traore's rise has disrupted established networks, and this disruption has created strong resistance from groups that feel threatened by the new direction. One key issue is the restructuring of the armed forces. Since coming to power, Traore has pushed for reforms aimed at strengthening discipline, reducing corruption, and focusing the military's mission on protecting national territory. While many soldiers support these changes, others have reportedly felt sidelined or unhappy with the loss of privileges. Experts say this kind of tension can create dangerous divisions if not carefully managed. The role of foreign influence continues to be a sensitive subject. The government has repeatedly accused external actors of trying to shape Burkina Faso's political future to serve their own interests. Although officials have not publicly named countries linked to the plot, the accusations have revived memories of past interventions in African politics. For many citizens, the idea that foreign hands may be involved strengthens calls for complete sovereignty and self-reliance. At the same time, the media environment has become a battleground of its own. Social media platforms have been flooded with claims, counterclaims, and unverified reports about the plot. The government has warned against false information, saying it could create panic or damage national unity. Journalists are under pressure to report responsibly, balancing the public's right to know with the need to avoid spreading fear. Civil society groups are also weighing in, urging the government to use this moment to strengthen institutions rather than rely only on force. Some activists argue that lasting stability will require dialogue, inclusion, and clear political timelines. They fear that repeated security crises could delay democratic processes and limit public freedoms if not carefully addressed. Regionally, neighboring countries are watching Burkina Faso closely. Leaders in Mali and Niger have expressed solidarity, seeing the event as a shared challenge for governments trying to break away from old systems. The incident has reinforced the sense of common struggle among Sahel states facing pressure from both armed groups and political opposition. International partners, including African organizations, have called for restraint and respect for human rights as investigations continue. While acknowledging the seriousness of the alleged plot, they have urged authorities to ensure fair treatment of suspects. Their statements reflect a wider concern about balancing security needs with legal standards. This part reveals that the failed plot is more than a single event. It is a reflection of deeper conflicts over power, reform, and independence. How the government handles these challenges will shape not only Burkina Faso's stability, but also its reputation and relations far beyond its borders.
Looking ahead, the foiled coup and assassination plot marks a defining moment for Burkina Faso's future. The government says it will use this experience as a warning and a lesson, strengthening security systems while pushing forward with its political and economic agenda. President Ibrahim Traore has made it clear that the country will not turn back, insisting that fear and intimidation will not stop reforms aimed at restoring national pride and stability. One major focus in the coming months will be rebuilding trust inside the armed forces. Military unity is critical for a country facing ongoing security threats, and authorities say efforts will be made to improve communication, discipline, and morale among troops. Analysts believe that addressing grievances within the ranks while maintaining firm leadership will be key to preventing future internal threats. The government is also expected to tighten intelligence cooperation with regional partners. Burkina Faso's alliance with Mali and Niger has grown stronger, and the three countries see shared intelligence as essential to protecting their governments and borders. This cooperation could reshape regional security strategies and reduce dependence on outside powers, a goal strongly supported by many citizens. For ordinary Burkinabe people, the hope is that political stability will allow development plans to move forward. The country faces serious challenges, including displacement, poverty, and limited access to basic services. Citizens want reassurance that security crises will not delay schools, hospitals, roads, and job creation. The government says stability is the foundation for progress, and that protecting leadership is part of protecting daily life. On the international stage, Burkina Faso's image is being closely examined. Supporters see the government's survival as proof of resilience and growing African self-confidence. Critics, however, remain cautious, questioning how long emergency-style governance can continue without clear political transitions. How the authorities respond to these concerns will influence foreign relations and investment. Human rights and legal processes will remain under the spotlight. The handling of suspects, the transparency of trials, and respect for basic rights will be closely watched by African and global observers. A fair and lawful process could strengthen the government's legitimacy, while mistakes could create new tensions at home and abroad. In the end, the failure of the alleged plot has given Burkina Faso a second chance at a critical moment. Whether this moment leads to lasting unity or deeper division will depend on the choices made now. The country stands at a crossroads, watched by Africa and the world, with its next steps likely to shape not only its own destiny, but also the future direction of the Sahel region. Thanks for your watching.